In the heart of Africa, where the red sun bleeds into the horizon, there was once a village no map dares to carry. A place whispered only in half-spoken tales, carried on the wind between market women and wandering hunters. The elders warned, "Do not follow the smell of roasting meat beyond the seventh hill, for what you find will not be goat, nor cow, nor antelope." This was the village of Yumubo, a settlement that thrived in secret, bound together by a hunger unlike any other. Their feasts were legendary, their drums thundered deep into the forest night, yet their food carried a silence that no stranger lived to describe. Travelers disappeared, hunters never returned, and even neighboring villages spoke of shadows moving at night, dragging burdens too heavy to be firewood. But why? Why did an entire people turn to such a forbidden appetite? Was it a curse from the gods, a bargain with spirits, or the darkest hunger of man himself? Tonight, we tell the story of Yumubo, the flesh-eaters, whose secret shook the very roots of the land. Long ago, in the time when villages still feared the deep forest, there was a hill no one dared to climb. It was called Ugwantanso, the Forbidden Rise. Birds circled above it, yet never perched upon its trees. Hunters who followed antelope tracks there vanished. And the wind that blew from its peak always carried a strange, sweet smell, like meat roasting too slowly on hidden firewood. The elders of neighboring clans told their children, "Never pass the seventh hill. For there, the earth remembers blood." But curiosity is a shadow that clings to man. One evening, a boy named Obioma strayed too far while chasing a rabbit. He saw smoke curling above the forbidden hill. The sound of drums followed, deep, steady, like a heartbeat that did not belong to the forest. Drawn by the rhythm, Obioma crept closer. There he saw a village, huts lined in perfect circles, fires blazing with meat turning on wooden stakes. The people danced, painted in red and white clay, their eyes glowing with strange fever. The meat smelled sweet, almost too sweet. But Obioma's young eyes widened in horror when he looked closer. The meat was not goat. It was not deer. It was human. Obioma trembled. His legs shook, yet his eyes could not turn away. The villagers sang as they carved into the roasted body, passing pieces from hand to hand. Children gnawed bones without shame, elders licked their fingers with joy. The leader of the village stood tall before the fire, a woman with white chalk spiraling across her face. She was called Ezenwani Noka, the priestess of Yumubo. Her voice rang above the drums. "We eat, because the spirits demand. We eat, so the earth will not swallow us. We eat, so our enemies will fear our strength." The people roared in answer, tearing flesh with teeth that glistened in the firelight. Obioma gasped too loud. Silence fell. Dozens of heads turned. Eyes, red with frenzy, fixed on the boy. "Stranger," the priestess cried. "Come forward. No one sees Yumubo and leaves alive." Obioma ran. His heart pounded like the drums he had heard. But the villagers did not chase. They laughed instead, a laughter that followed him down the hill. For in Yumubo, once you have seen the feast, you are already marked. When Obioma returned to his home village, Umuaka, he spoke of what he had seen. But the elders struck him for lies. "Child," they shouted, "your tongue is dangerous. No man eats man. Keep silent." Yet whispers grew. Hunters who vanished near the Forbidden Hill, traders who never reached their next market, now had an explanation. Women murmured at the streams, "Perhaps the boy speaks truth. Perhaps the red clay village is real." Obioma's own mother wept, for each night, the boy woke screaming. He dreamed of drums. He dreamed of teeth. And always, he smelled that sweet roasting scent, drifting across the wind. One day, a wandering dibia, a seer, came to Umuaka. He listened as Obioma whispered his secret once more. The seer's face turned pale. "It is true," the old man said. "I have heard of them, the people who made a covenant with spirits of famine. They eat flesh, not for hunger, but for power. Beware, for once the drums call, they will come." The elders of Umuaka still refused to believe. But already, in the distance, the faint beat of drums began again. It was on the night of the new moon. The village of Umuaka slept beneath silence. But Obioma did not sleep. The drums came first, low, distant, like thunder crawling beneath the earth. Then came the smell. That sweet, burning scent that clung to his tongue. Obioma rushed to his mother's hut. "They are coming," he cried. But before she could answer, shadows moved at the edge of the forest. Figures emerged, painted in white and red, carrying spears carved from bone. Their eyes glowed in the moonlight, and their mouths glistened with grease. The people of Umuaka woke in panic. Doors slammed. Children screamed. But the strangers did not attack with swords. They simply beat their drums and waited. The priestess stepped forward. Her voice rose, cold and certain. "Give us one. Only one life. A sacrifice to feed the covenant. If you refuse, all of Umuaka will burn." The elders stood frozen. No one moved. And then, the priestess's eyes fell on Obioma. "Bring us the boy who has seen. He is ours." The people of Umuaka gathered in the square, trembling. The priestess's demand hung heavy in the air. Some shouted, "We cannot give the boy." Others whispered, "If we refuse, they will destroy us all." Obioma's mother clung to him. Her cries pierced the night. But the priestess only smiled, her teeth sharp, her eyes cold. "Do not delay," she said. "The spirits grow hungry." The chief of Umuaka stepped forward. He was an old man, weary of war and famine. His hands shook as he raised his staff. "If giving this child will save us," he said softly, "then so be it." The crowd gasped. Mothers wailed. But fear had already swallowed their courage. Obioma looked at the faces around him, the same faces that once praised him as brave. Now they turned away. No one dared meet his eyes. The priestess reached out her hand. The drummers pounded faster. And Obioma knew his fate had been sealed. But in that moment, as the night swallowed the village, a voice rose from the shadows. A voice that would change everything. The crowd turned toward the voice. From the darkness, stepped a tall stranger, his body cloaked in raffia, his face hidden behind a wooden mask carved with fearful eyes. The drummers faltered for a moment, their rhythm breaking like a heart missing its beat. The masked man spoke. "Priestess of Yumubo, you take what is not yours. This boy is not your sacrifice." Gasps spread among the people of Umuaka. The priestess narrowed her eyes. "Who dares defy me? Who dares defy the covenant?" The stranger raised a long staff, carved with symbols no one could read. "The spirits you serve are not gods. They are shadows, born of hunger and greed. And tonight, they shall be silenced." The villagers whispered in fear. Could this be a spirit? Could this be a man sent by the ancestors? Obioma clung to his mother, his heart racing. For the first time, the priestess looked uncertain. But then her smile returned, cruel and sharp. "Then let us see, masked one," she said softly. "If your spirit is stronger than ours, prove it." And with a clap of her hands, the drums thundered again. The night air trembled. The villagers of Umuaka huddled together as the priestess raised her staff. Flames leapt higher from the torches, shadows danced across the square. The masked stranger struck the ground with his staff. A deep rumble shook the earth. The torches bent backward as if pushed by invisible hands. The priestess hissed, "You call upon wind and earth. But we call upon blood." At her words, the warriors of Yumubo began chanting. Their voices rose like thunderclouds, layered and heavy. The drums grew faster, faster, until it felt as if the whole world beat in one terrible rhythm. Obioma covered his ears. His body trembled, for he felt something stirring, as though the earth itself was hungry. The masked stranger raised his staff once more. "Spirits of the ancestors," he called. "Hear me now. Protect the innocent. Break the covenant of blood." the ground split open. A great wind roared through the village square. The flames swirled like whirlpools of fire. And then, silence. The drumming stopped. The chanting ended. Every eye turned to the priestess, for her staff had shattered in her hand. The priestess stared at the broken staff. Her painted face twisted with fury. She shrieked, her voice slicing through the night. "You dare break the covenant? Then I curse you. I curse this village. No harvest shall feed you. No rain shall bless you. And when hunger comes, your own flesh will betray you." She raised her hands high. Blood trickled from her palms as she clawed at the air. The warriors of Yumubo howled, their eyes rolling back as if possessed. Then, as suddenly as they came, they vanished into the shadows. The people of Umuaka stood frozen, trembling. The masked stranger lowered his staff. His voice was calm, but heavy with warning. "The covenant is broken tonight, but the curse has been spoken. Beware, for hunger is a spirit that never sleeps." Obioma felt a chill deeper than cold. His mother held him close, whispering prayers. The villagers looked at the stranger with both gratitude and fear. And before dawn touched the horizon, the stranger was gone. But his words lingered, like a shadow no fire could chase. Seasons turned. At first, life in Umuaka seemed normal. The rains fell. The yams grew. The hunters brought meat from the forest. But soon, the priestess's curse began to show. The rain slowed, then stopped. The yam harvest rotted in the ground. Even the forest grew silent, as if its animals had fled. The people grew thin. Children cried for food that did not exist. Mothers chewed on roots, fathers boiled leaves that gave no strength. And then the whispers began. "Did you hear? In Umuaka, hunger is so strong that a man ate his brother." A woman sold her child for a handful of grain. Obioma, now older, remembered the priestess's words. He knew this was the curse. But when he told the elders, they silenced him once more. "Do not speak of Yumubo," they warned. But secretly, even they feared that the curse was true. At night, some villagers vanished. Others claimed to hear drums again, faint, like a heart beating from far away. And in the dark, the sweet smell of roasting meat returned. Hunger drove men mad. One night, in secret, the elders gathered. They spoke in whispers, afraid even of their own shadows. "What if we do what they do?" one asked. "What if we eat to survive?" The others gasped. But none truly spoke against it. For their bellies burned with emptiness. Obioma's mother overheard. She ran to her son, her eyes wild with fear. "Leave this place," she begged, "before your own people turn upon you." But Obioma shook his head. "No, Mima. If we run, the curse will follow. We must break it." Still, the hunger grew worse. One morning, the body of a dead man was brought to the square. The elders said, "Better to eat the dead than let the living starve." The villagers hesitated. But when the fire was lit, and the flesh began to roast, the same sweet smell filled the air. The same smell Obioma had known since boyhood. One by one, the people stepped forward. And with each bite, the curse of Yumubo grew stronger. Obioma watched in silence. For he knew, the story was repeating itself. Obioma's heart grew heavy. Each night, he sat by the dying fire, watching his people change. Not only in body, but in spirit. Hunger had turned their eyes hollow. Their laughter was gone, replaced by whispers. Whispers of meat. Whispers of who might be next. Children no longer played in the square. They clung to their mothers, fearful of wandering too far. For it was said, when a child strayed, he did not return. And when the night meal was served, no one asked where the flesh came from. Obioma could not eat. The smell that once haunted him now filled every hut. He remembered the drums, the priestess's smile, and he knew this was not survival. This was the curse taking root. One night, as he lay awake, he heard it again. The drums. Low. Slow. But not from outside the village. This time, the drums came from within. And in that moment, Obioma realized Umuaka was no longer his home. It was becoming Yumubo. Days bled into nights, nights bled into hunger. The villagers grew restless. But then, he returned. The masked stranger. The one who had broken the priestess's staff. He appeared at the edge of the village, his raffia cloak rustling in the wind. Children screamed and ran to their mothers. Men raised spears, though their hands shook with weakness. Obioma stepped forward. "You came back," he whispered. The stranger's masked face tilted toward him. "I told you, boy," the voice rumbled. "Hunger never sleeps. The curse has returned. And now, you must choose." Obioma's voice trembled. "Choose what? To flee and save yourself? Or to stand and fight the hunger of men?" Obioma's mother clutched his arm. "Go with him, my son. Leave this place before it devours you." But Obioma looked at the faces of his people, gaunt, broken, yet still his kin. He shook his head. "No. I will not run. I will fight." The stranger's voice was low, almost a growl. "Then prepare yourself. For fighting hunger is fighting death itself." That night, the stranger led Obioma into the forest. They walked past the seventh hill, deeper than Obioma had ever dared to go. The trees grew twisted, their roots thick like veins. Strange carvings marked the trunks, faces with hollow eyes that seemed to watch. At last, they reached a clearing. There stood a great stone, black as night, slick as if with blood. Around it, bones lay scattered. Some animal, some not. The stranger placed his staff upon the stone. "This," he said, "is where it began. Long ago, when famine struck, the people of Yumubo came here. They begged the spirits for food. And the spirits answered." Obioma swallowed hard. "What did they give them?" The masked man's voice grew heavy. "They gave them flesh. The flesh of men. And with each feast, the people grew stronger, but less human. Until at last, they belonged not to the land of men, but to the covenant of hunger." Obioma shivered. "So the curse, it cannot be broken." The stranger's mask turned toward him. "There is only one way. To destroy the stone. Break the covenant at its root. But to do so, you must pay a price." The stranger's words clung to Obioma like thorns. "What price?" he asked. The masked man touched the stone. It pulsed faintly, as if it were alive. "Blood for blood. Flesh for flesh. To break this covenant, the spirits demand the life of one who carries the mark." Obioma's heart stilled. "The mark!" The stranger lifted his staff and pointed it at Obioma's chest. You carry it. The moment you saw the feast as a boy, the spirits marked you. That is why their smell never left your nose. That is why the drums call your name." Obioma staggered back. His hands trembled. "My life, for my people." The stranger's voice was solemn. "Only then will the curse end. Only then will Umuaka be free." Obioma felt the weight of the choice press upon him. Was he willing to die? To give his flesh, so that others would no longer hunger for it? The drums rose faintly in the distance. The curse was stirring again. And Obioma knew he had little time. Obioma returned to Umuaka, his heart heavy with the burden of choice. The village was worse than before. Children's eyes were sunken, mothers too weak to stand. And in the square, the elders roasted flesh openly now. When Obioma stepped forward, the people turned. Some smiled with cracked lips. Others reached for him, as though he were already meat. His mother rushed to shield him. "Leave him," she cried. But even she trembled, her hunger stronger than her love. The priestess's curse echoed in Obioma's mind. "When hunger comes, your own flesh will betray you." He saw it now. The curse was not only in the fields, not only in the air. It was inside them. It was inside him. For even as he watched, the The smell of the fire filled his lungs. And for the first time, he felt it. The hunger. The sweet, terrible craving. He staggered back, his chest heaving. Could he truly sacrifice himself before the hunger consumed him too? The masked stranger's voice whispered in his memory. To fight hunger is to fight death itself. And Obioma knew his final battle was near. The elders gathered again in the square, their faces drawn thin, their voices cracked with hunger. They no longer spoke as men. They whispered like wolves circling prey. The boy carries the mark, one hissed. He is the key. The spirits want him. Obioma stood in the circle of their stares. He felt their eyes pull at his flesh, like teeth already biting. His mother wept beside him, torn between love and hunger. The masked stranger appeared once more, standing tall at the edge of the firelight. You have one choice left, he thundered. Give him willingly, and end the curse forever. Or keep him, and let this village become nothing but beasts. The people murmured. Some reached out to seize Obioma. Others pulled back in fear of what sacrifice might mean. At last, the chief raised his staff. His voice cracked like old wood. Let the boy decide. His flesh, his life, his choice. All fell silent. The flames flickered. And all eyes turned to Obioma. The boy, now almost a man, lifted his face to the sky. Stars flickered like distant eyes, watching. He felt the weight of generations pressing down on him, the whispers of ancestors, the laughter of the priestess. He thought of the children, too weak to cry. He thought of his mother's trembling hands. And he thought of the cursed stone, beating like a heart deep in the forest. Slowly, Obioma stepped forward. I will go, he said. His mother screamed. The villagers gasped. But Obioma's voice did not shake. If my death ends this curse, then let it be. Better my flesh feeds the spirits once, than our people remain slaves to hunger forever. The masked stranger lowered his staff. You are brave, he said softly. But courage alone does not win. When the time comes, you must choose not only to die, but how you die. Obioma nodded. And the drums began to beat again, calling him to his fate. The villagers followed, silent, fearful, as the stranger led Obioma to the forest. The moon hung above, pale as bone. The path twisted like a serpent. At last, they reached the black stone. Its surface glistened as though wet with blood. The air around it pulsed, heavy, thick, like the breath of something unseen. The masked stranger placed Obioma before it. Here, he said. This is where the covenant was born. Here it must die. Obioma's knees shook. He touched the stone. It burned cold, freezing through his skin, sinking into his veins. He heard voices. Whispers of hunger. Cries of the feasts. The laughter of the priestess. The villagers trembled behind him. Some turned away, unable to look. Others leaned closer, their mouths wet with hunger. The stranger raised his staff. Now, Obioma. Decide. Offer yourself, or let your people be lost. The boy closed his eyes. And in the silence, he heard the drums grow louder. But this time, the rhythm came from within his chest. Obioma stood tall. His voice rang clear, though his body trembled. Spirits of hunger, hear me. I give myself, not as your feast, but as your end. My blood is not yours to claim. My flesh is the final seed of freedom. The masked stranger struck the stone with his staff. A crack split across its surface. The whispers grew frantic, furious. The ground shook. Obioma bit his lip until it bled. He pressed his hand upon the stone. The blood sank into the crack, glowing red. The villagers screamed as the stone writhed like a living thing. The earth split wider. From within came shadows, twisting forms, mouths open in endless hunger. Obioma cried out. His whole body burned. The hunger inside him roared, begging to consume, begging to feast. But with his last breath, he forced it down. He gave not his teeth, but his will. And with a scream that split the night, Obioma fell. The stone shattered into dust. The shadows wailed. And the drums fell silent. When dawn rose, the villagers found themselves free. The air was clean again. The hunger inside them, gone. And in the square, they wept, for Obioma was no more. His mother held his empty cloth, rocking it as if he still lay within. The masked stranger placed his staff upon the ground. The boy has given what no man should. Let his story be told, not in whispers, but in songs. Let his sacrifice remind you, hunger is not only of the belly, but of the spirit. And with that, the stranger vanished, as he had come. The people of Umuaka rebuilt. The rains returned. The yams grew fat in the soil once more. But they never forgot. Every seventh moon, they gathered at the hill to tell Obioma's story. And they taught their children. Greed and hunger can turn men into beasts. But sacrifice and courage can turn even the weakest into legends. Thus ended the tale of Yumubo, the flesh-eaters, and of Obioma, the boy who gave himself so his people might live. And even now, when the drums of the forest echo, some say it is not hunger that beats. It is Obioma's heart, reminding all who listen, that no feast of flesh can ever satisfy the soul. And so, the curse was broken, but the memory of hunger and sacrifice lingers still. If Obioma's tale has moved your spirit, don't let it end here. Like this video, share it with others who love our African stories, and subscribe, so you never miss the next journey into mystery and tradition. Every folktale carries a warning, every warning carries wisdom. The next tale may save you, or haunt you. Stay with us, and let the